Welcome, family, to another edition of Politicking Our Way. Hey, welcome, family. Welcome back to Politicking Our Way. This is your host, Nate Jinkens. Today, we just me and you. As my normal listeners know, I am very opinionated. You know, there's a few types of people that have opinions. You got the people that just want to talk a lot, talk about nothing. Then you got a lot of people with some substance who have some background who want to talk about what they know. I'm the latter. I talk about what I know. If I don't know, I try to stay away from it. So basically, my political career started back at the end of the Reagan era when I was with the Secret Service. Started out with the older Bush. Years later, I worked at some technology companies with Occidental Petroleum, the Bush family, were my main clients. So I got some intimacy with them. I've also played some lobbyist roles, and I've also done some tracking on both sides of the aisle. Former Republican, then a Democrat, then down the middle. Where do I sit today? I sit on the side of Hillary, and I'll tell you why. The Republican Party, which I'm known to be a part of, as you've seen in the promos, you see me a lot of accolades from that Republican Party, and some from the Democrats as well, but mostly from the Republicans, being a businessman of the year and such for the RNC back in the past. So what I'm about to tell you and set the stage for is my observation and opinions regarding what happened in our last presidential debate. I don't want you to think I'm anti-Trump and totally for Hillary. Well, that is kind of the truth. But I'm anti-buffoonery. I'm an American citizen. I'm black, African American as we call it today. So the substance of this show and the reason why we're here is to have the world to understand that the black voice is what it is. We are in tune with politics of the day. No, we don't have our own TV shows, our own Fox News network. We can drive an environment to create a fool like Donald Trump. But we do have a voice. It's not just in the barbershop. Check out the CBC. Check out John Lewis and others who are making strides in both sides of the House of Congress. And with that said, let's get into this debate. It happened last evening. It was prompted up by all the television networks as being this 100 million viewer incident that was going to eclipse Super Bowls and the like. Yeah, it was must-see TV, only because of the way it was propped up. I really don't know if it lived up to all of the hype, but we did get a glimpse into what we already knew. Trump, he came out strong. He started out talking about the trade agreements that we had currently, NAFTA, TPP, and Clinton's position on both. Of course, Trump, the businessman, clearly early on was for these things because he benefited from them. But Trump, the politician, the one who's being groomed by the establishment, which is now Roger Ailes and his group, his political campaign manager, all these guys are grooming Trump to be, hopefully, their next president. Not mine, of course, but he touted NAFTA as being the worst trade agreement ever. I don't know ever, that's a very big word, but it is not a great trade agreement. He was correct. It does not serve America today as it was designed when it was first written. We gave away quite a bit trying to be the big brother of the world as far as trade. We had a lot of things we needed to export, and we had a little bit to import. And it got a little unbalanced for us, and it didn't bode very well for America. So, Mr. Trump, you are right on point with that. Okay, I'm going to give you that. And you look somewhat presidential. And you had me a little scared in the beginning. I was like, whoa, this guy looks like he's trying to bring some substance to the table. But then again, we had 90 minutes to see the real you. When we talked about TPP and you pointed at Hillary and said that she was for it and called it the gold standard, well, we got to understand the climate she was in as the Secretary of State. As she was proposing this thing around the world, she did label us being the gold standard. And as it was thought to be at that time, the way it was developed, created, and put out to the public, you know, that Trans-Pacific deal, which handled all that Asia's Pacific area for trade, very important to the United States. That's where the mass of humanity lives. Look at India, China, Japan. Those countries have, you know, billions and billions of consumers for our American goods. So it would behoove us to get into some trade agreements that allow us to export our goods there and also import some of the goods that we no longer make here in America. because of course they do everything cheaper over there, and we'll get to that in another story. But the TPP ended up being as unbalanced as NAFTA for us as it's been developed. And Hillary, in her bold move and her political skate now running for president, has decided that it's not quite what she thought it was, has decided not to be for it. And if elected, she has clearly stated that in its current state, she would not sign it. So Mr. Trump, to fact check you, and she did call it the gold standard. You were correct there. But what you were wrong about was the fact that she's going to sign it in its current state. She clearly stated that's not the case. So, as we're stuck here and we're trying to understand what does our president look like, what's our choice here? We look at the trade and we go, okay, Hillary, you missed the mark on that one. Trump was kind of right on that one. But then we said, well, where did he get his background, his information from? Well, you know, back when these trade agreements were made, he was a businessman. And as we know, that top 1% always won on those realms. So then we kind of faded into some of the debilitating facts about Hillary Clinton. They kind of brushed over the email. A lot of people in the Trump camp thinks that he missed an opportunity to really dive in on her. But I think we've heard enough about those emails. He talked a lot about those 33,000 emails that were deleted, and he compared that to his releasing of his taxes. Well, guess what? I don't care what she shared in those emails. It only gives me a little picture, glimpse view into who she was and how she worked at the State Department. But Mr. Trump, your taxes, your tax returns, tell us what type of businessman you are. What kind of figure you are. Are you lying to us in the general public, telling us that you worth all these billions of dollars and that you've made all these charitable contributions? Or does it really tell us what Hillary said in the debate? That you paid zero taxes, which you thought was smart. Well, it is smart for a businessman not to pay any taxes. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want to pay any taxes, trust me. But as the president of these United States, covering all these hundreds of millions of individuals that we call Americans, who, by the way, foot the bill, neglected by people in the top 1% like yourself, Mr. Trump, I think it's a dismal act to say that you are smart to do that. No. I need to understand line for line where the money is. Because we have questions. We have big questions. And those questions go into the personal foundations run by Clinton and by Trump. Now let's look at the Clinton Foundation. They've done marvelous work all around the world, mostly in the African theater where my ancestors are from. They've slowed down the death rate from AIDS, starvation, clothing folks, providing medicine, all kinds of great things over there. But there is this misnomer that pay for play got you an audience with the State Department, with our Secretary of State. It didn't say it got an audience with the president. It didn't say it influenced any types of decisions going forward from the executive branch. It just clearly stated that we got donors, big donors, who want to get a meeting with our Secretary of State. Okay, I have a problem with it if they're paying to do that. That's totally illegal. But there has been no documented proof of that to be. It may look like that because some of the people that she met with happen to also be Clinton Foundation donors. But guess what? Those same donors are the movers and shakers across the world. So, it's a coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Was there pay for play? No evidence. Does the Clinton Foundation do great work? Yes, it does. Has Bill and Hillary taken any money out of the foundation personally for themselves? No, they haven't. They don't even get a salary. Okay. Has Bill been paid millions and millions of dollars to go around the world and speak? Yes, he has. That's actually a privilege of our president. That says a lot about the United States and our powerful presence in the world. Even after our leader steps down, he still has a voice internationally. I think that's a great thing. We're still effecting and pushing policy after getting out of office. Can't say so much for that for George Bush. He kind of melted into the background. He's on the Ponderosa. We also know what happened to Mr. Reagan after he got out. You know, sorry to hear about his medical situation before his demise. But hey, it is what it is. Okay? Now, let's look at the Trump Foundation. It's kind of like the Trump University, a forest in itself. It doesn't have the millions of dollars in it. that he said. He made a one-time big deposit into it some years ago. That money has, of course, been chewed up. But let's look at what that foundation has done. How about self-pay? Totally illegal. Mr. Trump, do you need a life-size portrait drawn of you, painted and paid for by your foundation? Really? Oh, that's not cool. Now, when we follow the money trail, we find out, where's the portrait at? It's in your personal belongings, sir, which is illegal. How about this? You've had a few lawsuits against you and your corporation. You didn't pay the penalties or the fines. They were paid by other foundations who were tightly related to the Trump Foundation. Well, let's follow the money trail. Almost an exact dollar figure left from the Trump Foundation to these other foundations who in turn paid those exact fines. Dude, good move, nice cover, you missed the point. We're not that stupid. You're going to move the exact amount of money that the fines require to be paid, and you only got one shallow bump between you and that foundation and you paying the folks that you owe. That's self-pay, dude. That's totally illegal. The foundation is illegal. I hope in turn in the next cycle of debates that you do go after Clinton with that foundation mess, and hell, you're going to cut your own throat. You might want to, stay back from that. Let's really talk about the elephant in the room. I've said in the previous broadcast that the elephant in the room for this election, unlike the last election where we had a black guy going against a white guy, and the blacks came out in droves because we're going to support our own, and we're going to do it again if we're any smart. I got a message for all of you African Americans, those good folks out there who claim to be down the middle, who claim to want to move away from the establishment of government politicians and make a change. Trump is not the change. He's the revisit. Okay, he's the 1950s pre-civil rights. If you think you're doing yourself a pleasure by lining up behind this candidate, you really need to investigate and get to know the candidate and stop listening to the rhetoric. Peel away the onion and get down to the racist, bigotry, misogynistic person that he is. Let's look at it for a minute. Let's look at the race. Come on, man. What happened to us as citizens in America? 2-3 generations ago, we didn't even have birth certificates. We didn't have papers. At least in apartheid in South Africa, they had papers to identify themselves. Yeah, they didn't get rights, but they had papers. We didn't even have papers. Now that we do have them, we got this guy, Mr. Trump, asking our president through this whole birthing thing to present his birth certificate as if he is not an American citizen. Do the